We're good to go.
All right, thanks, Vidhi. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Technology and Data Analytics SIG event for today. So this is event number 5, and the Technology and Data Analytics SIG was set up like the other SIGs to create a forum where alumni can network with each other and work on topics or areas of mutual interest, and also to build a connect between the alumni and what's going on at the institute in terms of formal programs as well as research which is allied to what's being taught. The idea is essentially to either have students understand what practitioners in the industry are doing in terms of good practices or new technologies, and also to see if there's ability for the institute and particularly the research program students to contribute back to solving some interesting problems that the industry is struggling with. So we've done a series of events, including webinars, and we've also done some activity beyond webinars, which sort of goes deeper into these themes. So one of the things that we've been working on is live product management internship for PGP2 students, working with CII portfolio startups on solving some live product management problems. We've also collaborated with the Education SIG on working on EdTech, looking at how we can facilitate delivery of education to underprivileged students by leveraging affordable technologies. We would like more alumni to get involved in both these webinar kind of events as well as the deeper events where we are doing things on the ground. And if you're interested, do drop us a note. The event invite has the email ID for the technology and analytics SIG. With that, let's sort of get into today's event. So today's event is a talk on AI-led transformations by Pranay Agrawal, who's PGP 98, and he is CEO of Fractal Analytics. And the session will be moderated by Professor Samrat Gupta, who's a professor in the information systems area. Over to you, Professor Samrat.
Yeah, thanks, Parag. So it's a pleasure to moderate this session with Pranay, and I'll take this opportunity to introduce Pranay. Pranay is a co-founder and chief executive officer at Fractal Analytics, which is one of the most prominent company in AI space globally. He has led Fractal in powering every human decision in the enterprise through data and analytics. And he's working with, and Fractal is basically working with over 50 Fortune 500 companies, helping them drive better business outcomes by embedding analytics in their decisions and processes. Now, something about Fractal. Fractal is well known for its client centricity with a net promoter score of over 70%. And it has gained a worldwide acclaim for its success. For example, Forbes recently ranked Fractal as the 7th best funded analytics company in the world. The Great Place to Work Institute rated them as the best company to work for in the analytics industry. Fractal was also called out as a cool vendor in analytics by Gartner, and Forrester rated them as a top provider for text analytics for their product called Decrypt. Pranay has an MBA from Indian Institute of Management Ahmedabad. He's a 1998 batch pass out. Pranay also holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from Bangalore University, and he's a certified financial risk manager from the Global Association of Risk Professionals. So great to have you here, Pranay, as the speaker of this session. I would like to hand it over to you now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor Samrat. Thank you for the kind introduction. I will get started. And are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Look, I know the format typically is that, I'd probably spend about 25-30 minutes taking through some content, and then maybe it's open for Q&A. at the same time. But if there are questions in the middle, and you want to send questions on either on the Q&A box or directly in this conference, I'm happy to sort of make it interactive and address questions along the way. All right, so let's get started. I want to start with a small story here, and my screen's not okay. There it is. Yeah. All right. I want to start here with a small story. There's a story of a systems engineer in Japan, and Makoto Koike. He was a systems engineer in Japan. His parents were cucumber farmers. So one summer he went back home and he saw that his mother was spending up to 8 hours a day sorting cucumbers, and cucumbers apparently come in 9 different varieties, at least in Japan. And he realized that this was a extremely sort of poor use of his mother's time, who could have been using that time to grow more cucumbers, to sell them, or just relax and enjoy life. It was hard to also find labor to do that, because this is a very seasonal activity. And then one also needed to train the labor, because you needed certain amount of skill and experience to actually sort the cucumber. And Makoto then decided to apply AI to this problem. He purchased a Raspberry Pi computer. He downloaded TensorFlow from Google, and then he trained that system to start recognizing cucumbers. And very quickly, he was up to 85% accuracy in sorting and recognizing and sorting the cucumber, and soon he was well into the 90s, and there you are, which is that huge amounts of time saved, a great outcome for his parents, and it fairly in a fairly simple sort of way it got applied, and it was highly useful and productive. Now, what really happened over here? So if we deconstruct this problem, the cucumber sorting problem. What we really started here with was with him taking several thousand images of the cucumbers from several different angles. And so he probably took about, I think, if the story is right, about 8,000 to 9,000 different pictures of these cucumbers, and then fed them to the computer vision or image recognition software. And through that process of seeing those cucumbers and perceiving those cucumbers, the software was then able to, when it saw a new image of a cucumber, it would be able to sort it with certain, accuracy, and that was sort of the processing. He created a system or a mechanism, a mechanical sort of, a conveyor belt, if you will, where the cucumbers would roll over through that conveyor belt. The image would see it, the software would categorize it, and then that physical system would sort of drop it into the right box. And then as it would drop these cucumbers into the right box, he would subsequently get the information whether the sorting was accurate or inaccurate, and from that feedback there would be learning for the software, which would further help it in doing even better processing and assessment of and categorization of the cucumbers. So as you can see, what really this application here is doing, and which is the attempt in the world of AI, is to sort of replicate the way the human brain perceives things and how the human brain learns. And we know that happens very intuitively. We see objects, we learn it is something, and then over time we learn to act, and we get further feedback from that, and things kind of continue to get better and better in terms of our perception. So that is really the I just wanted to share how this, how AI is working, but really more importantly, the idea that if AI can be applied in a farm to sort cucumbers, the applications of AI are just limited by our own imagination and ambition. And yes, I mean, AI is supposed to transform the world. AI can transform the world, and there is a whole vast range of applications and big projections all around the world around what AI can do for us. Right? There is the expectation that it will deliver tremendous growth and competitive advantage with huge numbers. Some estimates say up to $3 trillion in business value will be added. several billion hours will be recovered from doing things that machines can do, which are, mundane, giving us the ability to put human capacity and creativity to better use. So some applications just in terms of, improving human conditions or human life, just in the area of, road fatalities as an example. We lose about 1.3 million people every year to fatal accidents on the road. And the expectation is that autonomous cars with their self-learning ability will over time, minimize that and bring it really close to zero. So just, some of the applications likewise in the area of health diagnostics. Again, we are expected to be able to save, huge number of lives. And at the same time, there are, a lot of different implications as well for this from a defense standpoint, cybersecurity standpoint, and very importantly, what's going to happen with the capital and labor dynamics, where one of the big fears in the world is that with AI, more and more of the power will shift to capital, and what will happen to labor, or how will human beings continue to contribute economically and be relevant. Those are all the kinds of things that we're speaking about at a macro level. There are huge expectations of massive changes, and we are starting to see a fair amount of change on the ground as well. What I'd like to speak today really is about what does success look like in traditional organizations, right? Organizations that are not digitally native or AI native organizations out of the tech industry, and what does success look like in the traditional world of say manufacturing or services and so on, and then what does it take to create that success within our respective organizations so that we can realize the value of AI within, manufacturing or services and financial services, insurance, and so on. All right. So let me take a couple of points over here first, and then we'll speak of a few success stories. The first idea that I want to share over here is that whilst AI is, there is tremendous potential and to create value, AI alone is not enough to create value from AI. And what do we mean by that? Our belief here is that we need a combination of AI, engineering, and design to realize full value from AI. What does that mean? So AI, and let me break these terms up a little bit. AI is the ability to build algorithms to do a huge range of cognitive tasks at human capacity or better than that. And what do I mean by cognitive tasks? It could be things such as analysis. It could be things such as predictions and forecasts. It could be things that you just saw a little while back, that on the example of cucumber sorting, using computer vision to recognize images, to find defects in products, using text analysis to understand text better and do automated response, to recognize voice and respond to smart robots responding to our voice, and all of that kind of stuff, right? So a whole range of cognitive tasks which can be done by building better algorithms. Now, what we know is that these algorithms need a vast amount of data for them to be accurate, for them to learn. Equally, the signals or the insights that come out of these algorithms, they need to be fed into applications where action can be taken. And that means that if we need to operationalize the AI and generate value out of the AI, we need a very strong, robust engineering platform. And that engineering will, number one, create the data infrastructure to feed these algorithms and continue to feed these algorithms with new data so that those algorithms can continue to learn and get better. We need data pipelines out of the algorithms into systems where the decisions are made, whether that is software systems or applications, or it could be manufacturing systems, anything, any place where action needs to be taken, decision needs to be made. So we need the engineering to take that, signals into those systems. And the third thing Probably the most important and probably the place where the least amount of attention is paid is in the area of design. And design really is the notion of uh, putting in or embedding human empathy into the applications that we create. These applications, these solutions are being ultimately created for people that need to use them and benefit from them. And design means right up front understanding what the problem is as seen from their lens, what does success and value look like, again, seen from the lens of the human user, and how do we incorporate that into the solution and create a solution that is intuitive, easy to use, a solution that makes the technology and the AI invisible, because the user really doesn't care about the AI or the technology. They care about the decisions, they care about the outcomes. I want to share another another idea here of what are the dimensions of AI transformation. So as we look into our organizations and say that how do we apply AI, we believe that these are sort of the 5 pillars where we can apply AI. And every organization, pretty much, anything that we do within the organizations, we could characterize it along these 5 sort of dimensions. Number 1 is to use data to drive executive decisions, operational decisions, better decisions. Despite having access to a vast amount of data today and unparalleled amount of data, the value of the data is if it becomes easily available to users, to decision makers, as they need it, when they need it, in an easy to use form, right? So that's number 1. Can AI enable us to power executive decisions in a quick, real-time, effective basis? Number 2 is to improve consumer engagement. Every business is ultimately serving some consumers, some customers, and growth is a function of how well we engage those consumers. And how can AI use to engage those consumers, deliver better value to them, whether that's in terms of customer servicing, customer experience management, acquisition, retention, sales, marketing, and such. And so that's really sort of the growth dimension or the revenue dimension, if you will. Then we have the idea of eliminating inefficiencies. And within our organizations, there are a range of places where we live with inefficiencies, because that is the best that we can do at any given point of time. And these inefficiencies range from a whole range of things, right? It could be ineffective marketing spends. It could be ineffective trade spends. It could be that we could do better in terms of our credit risk management. It could be better. We could do better on the supply chain side, our transportation costs, and so on and so forth. So if you just look within the organization and look at how we are using our resources, how we're spending money, we know that there are lots of places where there are significant inefficiencies that we can reduce and eliminate over time. And can AI help us do that? 4 is the notion of building better products and doing it faster. We all know that the failure rates of new products is extremely high, and also that it takes us a long time to build the products, and actually a reasonably long time to assess whether these products are going to be successful or not. It stands on the time of R&D. R&D can take a long time to do. Product development, bringing product to the market, and assessing success. All of this can take a long time to do. And can AI help us get there faster? Can it help us increase the success rate? And can it help us reduce the time from idea to the decision on whether the product is successful or not? And the last concept here is that of driving disruption and fighting disruption. Every business model is under attack from thousands of companies that believe that they can create the same value in a different way, or they can deliver better value for the need which any business is serving. And we've seen that in our lifetimes, in a short period of 10 years, the number of business models that have got completely upended and changed. And every business needs to be sort of aware of this and finding ways to disrupt their own business and to fight disruption. So how can AI help us get there, right? So all businesses need to be thinking along these 5 dimensions on how we bring AI engineering and design together to get better on all of these 5 dimensions. So I'm going to take a few success stories and then speak about, what are the building blocks that are required within an organization to create success using AI engineering and design along these core dimensions.
So Pranay, at this juncture, can we take a couple of questions? Or
absolutely, yes, please, yes, yeah.
Yeah, thanks. So there's a question by Ananta. It's asking, could you give some insights on how AI could impact retail sector? That's the question.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, certainly. I think great question. And there are a big range of things that are happening in the retail sector, which could create a big impact, right? Let's just take as an example. We know one of the biggest drivers of sales in retail is availability at shelf. And many times retailers and manufacturers themselves do not know when products are not available on shelf. One of the ways in which AI is being used is through computer vision, where companies are taking continuous image streams of their aisles, and using AI are able to find out very quickly whether a product is on shelf or not. Okay, just one example. So imagine that you knew today it may take you 48 hours to figure out whether a product is on shelf or not, but now you're able to figure that out almost instantaneously. Okay, and that can reduce your out of stock situation dramatically. And that alone can, help increase sales in a significant manner. Retailers spend a whole host of money on doing in-store promotions. And again, AI and advanced analytics can help us figure out which kinds of, promotions do consumers like better, right? Another big aspect is on the whole supply chain and demand forecasting. Granular forecasting by product level, by SKU level, at the store level. If you're able to make better assessment of that, it will help us, manage the entire supply chain and ensure, better product availability, all of that kind of stuff. I'll give you one example here. We were working with one live example over here. We were working with a big departmental store, and they wanted to drive growth in their DIY tools departments. DIY being do-it-yourself, home tools, things such as drills and screwdrivers and all of that kind of stuff which you use to do minor repairs at home. And one of the first things that said, okay, fine, why don't we look at things such as what was called recency, frequency, and monetary kind of customer segmentation, right? In speaking with the business, what we were able to understand is that one of the biggest drivers of what kind of products get bought is based on the expertise level of the customer, right? So there are some customers who are novices, they buy certain kinds of products. Some customers are sort of intermediate, and then there are some customers who are professionals. And based on the kind of customer you are, you'll buy one product or another. What AI was able to do in this situation was classify these customers into their level of expertise. So broadly, if you just thought of it as, let's say, professional and intermediate, and AI was able to do that successfully, then AI was able to figure out which products do these people buy, and then further make an assessment of what kind of population do each of the stores attract. And that could, based on that, the retailer could decide what kind of a assortment to keep in the store, what kind of promotion to make to which customer, and so on. And all of these things Now suddenly you have much better customer satisfaction because you've got relevant products in the store, relevant promotions, and great value for everyone across the board.
Okay. So I think that answers Anantha's question very well. Very good examples by you, Pranay. There's another question about product loans. So the question is, can we map consumer behavior and make product launch decisions through AI?
Product launch decisions.
Yeah, product launch decisions through AI.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I think, you know, if you look back, there's been a lot of work that traditionally market research has done using things such as, conjoint analysis, understanding what is important for consumers because the combination of what can go into a product, what features drive, do which consumer segments like, we know that that's kind of, infinite. And traditionally, analytics and market research has been helping us do that. Today, that's being taken to a completely different level. If you look at online streaming, okay, someone like Netflix, Netflix is now essentially tracking everything that we are doing on their platform. They know what parts of a particular program did we forward, what part did we rewind. They know where do they get the maximum sort of audience or eyeballs. And just think of that, all of that information is being distilled to understand what drives consumer engagement, and that is further used to decide what kind of shows should they make, right? Or what features should they put in the show, what aspects of the stories do people engage with, right? And that's just one example of how products can be made and launched faster using AI.
Okay, yeah. So I hope that answers your niche question. So we can have your talk, Pranay. After that, we can take another set of questions after some time.
Yeah, please. Yeah, so let's keep the questions going through the sessions. It's a good way to keep us all engaged in that.
Yeah.
All right. So we spoke about these 5 dimensions of AI transformation, and I'll take a few examples along each of these dimensions. Okay.
Okay.
So if you think about the consumer product sector in developing in markets such as India, where there are millions and millions of small retailers that are being serviced by thousands of salespeople. Okay, a couple of key issues that consumer product companies that sell through these salespeople into these millions of retail outlets they face. One is that salespeople do not really have a good, reliable way of knowing how their performance is in a given month. And very often what we'll find is that very large amount of the monthly sales gets done in the last week of the month. Okay, because that's when the quota pressure increases. And what that means is that when you have a disproportionate amount of your sales being done in 1 week of the month, number one, you're likely giving away big discounts because you need to make your quota. And number two, it really puts a lot of pressure on the supply chain. Okay, so that's one. Second is that CPG companies also find that when their salespeople don't have a very good idea of what is the right product to sell in which store, right? Because there are hundreds of SKUs that they have, and I don't know when I'm going into a particular store what is the right product to offer. And very often what happens is that the products that are at the top of their sales booklets are the ones that get sold. So if you look at this application here called Cuddle, think of it as a AI-based BI assistant on your mobile phone. Sits on top of the enterprise sales data, and it's a very simple, easy to use application on your phone. It provides alerts on what's been my performance as a salesperson. It'll tell me which, and it provides me diagnosis on that sales, which products have I sold better, which geographies or which trade areas am I doing better in, and I get this information on a daily basis. So when this company applied this to its sales force of thousands of people, what they found was two things. Number one is that the people that used it were able to consistently deliver 3 to 5% better outcome. And number two is that the sales started getting better distributed across the entire month, which meant, a big relief on the overall supply chain management, which meant better realization. And then because of the recommendation engine, they basically were able to sell relevant products into relevant stores. So here you see a very simple example of how through the use of AI engineering and design, we were able to sort of improve the lives of salespeople who need to make decisions every day on whom they should call on, what product they should offer once they call on a particular store, and so on, and with superior outcomes for the whole company and for the individuals that were involved. I'll take another example over here, which is very recent. It's topical. It's about the COVID pandemic, right? And when COVID came in, most governments and most city council had very little data on how to deal with it, very little understanding of what exactly was happening. And AI was extremely helpful over here. So with the Mumbai Municipal Corporation as an example, one of the things that Fractal did, we created this cockpit for them, or a war room, if you will, where data from all sources was engineered. Data on travel, data on the rate of spread of the pandemic, rate of hospitalizations, etc. And through that, created various visual interfaces for the government officials to know things such as what is the rate of spread, where is the rate of spread, what is the rate of hospitalization, what's the hospital capacity that is available. And the government was able to make very rapid decisions on a whole range of things, which were high risk areas where we needed to do extra testing. Where could we see potential out of hospital, see us running out of hospital capacity? So where might we need to increase hospital capacity, or where could we turn people to in case we ran out of hospital capacity in a particular location? And so really, this is the first part of that 5-pillar example where it said using data to drive better executive decisions. And you can see two very different examples over here, one in the area of public health and pandemic, and the other in the area of consumer goods sales. Okay. I want to move to the second area here, which is this idea of improving customer engagement. And as we all know that through this pandemic, but over the last 15 or 20 years, but especially so in the last year, the amount of customer engagement on digital platforms has just shot up dramatically, both in terms of e-commerce as well as in terms of customer service. Now, one of the challenges that customers face when they come to digital platforms is this notion of digital friction, which is that I'm trying to achieve an outcome through the website, or through the mobile platform, or through your call center, but I'm not able to achieve that outcome because there is some problem in the journey. Maybe some data is not available. Maybe certain links are not working. Maybe some part of the website is confusing, or the IVR has put me into loops. And this friction is highly frustrating for the customers, and it is loss-making for the company, because the consumer is not able to complete their journey. Either they could not make a purchase that they wanted to make, or they have gone away dissatisfied because their service issue could not be handled. And it is very hard to know where these issues are because when you think of, websites and you think of customers, there are, thousands of pages and millions of journeys. AI, we brought in AI into this situation where again, all the digital data is engineered. And then you put in place a whole range of, anomaly detection applications over here, which are able to point out anomalous customer behavior and also potential reasons for that. And then again, serve this up as a digital cockpit to the business, and on a daily basis they're able to figure out what are the places on their digital properties where there is customer friction and where they can go fix this. In just one particular example, which was of a telecom major, about $100 billion global telecom major, we were able to see that by eliminating customer friction, digital friction, or reducing, you can never eliminate it fully, increase in digital revenues of up to $100 million a month, and a big jump in overall customer satisfaction. I'll move to the third notion here, and this is the notion of eliminating inefficiencies and increasing productivity, right? In this area of petrochemicals and oil and gas, we're dealing with very large infrastructure all over, and any small inefficiencies in this infrastructure leads to big losses in production and loss of valuable product itself. So one of the issues in the oil and gas industry is leakages in these tanks, and for this one particular company, it could translate to as much as $2 billion in lost product. And these leakages do get detected, but it takes a lot of time to find them because there are thousands of such assets, and there really isn't a very good way to figure them out. By using AI and again using anomaly detection techniques with live streaming data, this time was reduced from 48 hours to near real time. And again, you can go address it immediately and save hundreds of millions in lost productivity. And I'm giving intentionally, we're talking of examples from very diverse fields. Another example here is from the healthcare space. One of the shocking facts over here is that there's a 23 to 25% error rate in the reading of X-rays. So X-rays are misdiagnosed up to the extent of 25. And that's not because of any fault of the radiologist. It's just that many things on X-rays are not discernible by the human eye. So if you think of a product like Cure, what Cure does is it applies computer vision and deep learning algorithms to X-rays. The algorithms has been trained with millions of X-rays over time, and now can detect a whole range of diseases and anomalies in the X-rays. And today we're using this to fight tuberculosis in a big way. Because several countries have large tuberculosis management programs where you're able to launch programs to take lots of X-rays, but then radiologists are not available. One can spend money and get X-ray machines, but then it's hard to find trained radiologists. And a product like Cure is able to provide diagnosis immediately. Also been using this to look at COVID progression, and very rapid application of this in detecting COVID and assessing whether COVID has reached the lungs. Right. And then the last thing, I'll give a couple of examples on fighting disruption, and maybe we can pause again for some more questions, Samrat.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So one of the things that AI enables us to do is to start looking at sources of value beyond the obvious. And this is a picture of a parking lot, and there is a company called Orbitz. And what it focuses on alternative data sources for investments. And the way, these are satellite images of parking lots, and the way these are being used is that investors are using these images of parking lots to make assessments on how a retailer is doing. So well before the retailer releases their earnings and their volumes kind of information, this is a very good signal into the traffic flow into the retailer, and that can be used to assess how well a retailer is doing, right? So just small signals in data can create big advantages. And then look at a completely different and completely, disruptive application over here of AI, which is Amazon's Go Store, right? They have experimented with this, gone live across several locations now. And these are completely, no human interface retail outlets. You walk into the store recognizes you, your payment information is already with the store. You pick up the products, put them in your cart, and you leave the store, and you automatically get billed for it, right? And again, just an idea of tremendous disruption that can be created, and that is being created using AI engineering and design. And each of these opportunities, and each of our industries have these opportunities. Someone is out there trying to disrupt the business model. And how do we fight this disruption using AI and do that proactively?
Yeah. So these are some of very good examples about how AI is disrupting the business. Pranay, can you give some more insights about how do you get design thinking involved in the process of deploying AI solutions? What is your take on deploying AI through design thinking? How is design thinking important apart from engineering? How is design thinking important in deploying the AI solutions?
Yeah. So look, some of the best technology products that we are using are examples of great design. And great design essentially makes the technology intuitive, makes it easy to use, and takes all the complexity out of the problem. As an example, the best design example is one of the best design examples is Google, right? There is tremendous technology underlying the Google algorithms, right? But what we get to see is this, very simple white page with one rectangle on it. Type any question into it and you get your answer, right? And there is a deep insight over there, which is that consumers just want to go and type a question and get an answer, right? And they're not concerned about any of the underlying technological complexity. And that insight about the consumer, right, is what translates into great design and into a product that becomes widely adopted and widely used, right? So that really is the power of design thinking, which is developing that deep insight and empathy into the consumer's mindset, right? Yeah. Look at other, great technology products. Amazon is a great example of design, right? Apple, it's a phenomenal example of great design. Netflix, that's an example of great design, right? So there is tremendous engineering, tremendous AI, but all of that wrapped into very beautiful design. And as I said, design, we often think about it is how things look. I think Steve Jobs said this: design is a funny word. We often think about it as in terms of how things look, but it's really about how things work.
Yeah. Yes. So, can we take a few questions?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a question by Saurav. The question is, one of the key asks of the company is to ensure the AI-led transformation integrates with their existing tech stack. How do we ensure this? So he's asking, that one of the needs for the companies is to ensure the AI-led transformation integrates with their existing tech stack, and how to ensure this.
Yeah. So So it's a complex question, and I don't think there's an easy answer. Without getting into the context. That said, look, let's think about what do we need for AI, right? Uh, we of course need firstly we need to know what we're trying to achieve from the AI, right, in our respective organizations. So you can think of it as use cases. I'm trying to do better pricing, I'm trying to do better forecasting, or I'm trying to do better customer engagement, so on and so forth. We need to know what data we need for that, to do that, to feed those AI applications. We need to know how the insights coming out of those AI applications will be used, right? Now, organizations have transaction systems, okay? Many of them are legacy systems. That's where the data is generated. And the application of AI does not mean that we need to change those systems. Now, those systems may not be able to do the AI, and that's totally fine. We always have the option of taking data from those systems, into the more modern applications, whether that is on cloud or on-prem, applying the algorithms on that. The people are using traditional. I mean, now there's a lot of Python being used, and all of that kind of stuff. But those don't reside in our traditional transaction system. But that's not necessary. And then the real thing is that the insights or the recommendations that come out from the AI applications, how can we ensure that they're available to the users in the systems that they're using, right? So one option is, of course, we give them new interfaces, but if that's not possible, it's always possible to feed that information back into the existing interfaces, whether that's my CRM system or that's my Salesforce system, and so on. But like I said, it's a complex topic. It does not mean application of AI does not mean that we need to let go of all our existing technology systems. But yeah, we may need to add some systems, to do some of the work that is needed.
Yeah, right. So there is another question by Kash. The question is, how much of AI is a black box? How much of AI provides a statistical trail for the results?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think there are applications or there are algorithms that can provide a huge amount of statistical explanation, and there are applications or algorithms that may not provide any sort of explainability. So let's say in the world of credit, there is big need to explain our decisions to ensure that there is no bias and stuff like that, right? So companies still use highly explainable AI, which could be in the traditional world of logistic models and linear regression models, or even more advanced machine learning techniques such as random forests and so on, so that we can create the explanation and know what factors are driving to the decisions. But then if I look at things such as, let's say, image recognition, right, there is really no explainability over there. Why does an application recognize the products on the shelves and say that this is candy, or that is a dessert, or yogurt, or a banana? We as human beings are not able to explain how we recognize one product versus another, right? And it may not even be needed. All that we need is that the AI gets better and better at recognizing those images, right? So I think there is plenty of ability to explain the decisions, and there are plenty of algorithms where decisions cannot be explained. It's merely a function of what we want to do, and we can use the algorithms that we want, depending on how important explainability is to us.
Okay. So again, a question by Saurav. The question is, what is the role of cloud technologies in AI-led transformation, especially with the rise of citizen data scientists?
Yeah. So I think cloud is central, or at least is going to be central to the future. And I think cloud provides tremendous advantages in terms of scalability and elasticity of usage of the data. It provides us easier ways to manage the data and the technology, and therefore I think that's the way the world is headed, and it is going to be an integral part of the world, and it'll soon be in a world where it is the default mode of operating. Being on the cloud is going to be the default mode of operating. And of course, we're finding that a lot of AI applications are being developed for the cloud first, and the most latest technologies are available over there. So I think that that's an integral part of the future.
Right. So yeah, I was also reading about Fractal's partnership with AWS and the kind of benefits that it has given to Fractal in terms of business outcomes. Good. Yeah. So the next question is from Arun Raghavan. He's asking, what are the top 5 use cases where client interest is high today, especially during the last 2 years?
Yeah, it is a very industry specific question, right? Because across the board, I mean, each industry has its own challenges and needs, right? But as I'd said, we can really, sorry. I mean, if we apply this lens to any business, I think we can figure out what is important in that business at that given point of time and what is going to create value. I would say, though, that if we go industry agnostic for a moment, in the last 9 months, since since COVID hit us, there have been a few trends that have become really important. Number one is that the amount of e-commerce and digital interaction has gone up tremendously, just like it's just leapfrogged several years ahead. And therefore, every company today is interested in how do we improve digital interaction, how do we improve online conversion, how do we make digital supply chains, and how can AI help us do all of these things better? So that's number one. Number two is that because the economic landscape has changed as much as it has, our old models of predicting, forecasting, etc., have all become sort of irrelevant, and everything needs to be done afresh. So, I mean, just imagine if you're an airline today, you know that your models from 2 years back are no longer useful.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of interest in redoing most of my consumer forecasting models. And the second thing is that we know that these changes will keep happening, and therefore there's a lot of interest in what is called auto ML, which is the ability to automatically refresh these models as fresh data signals come in. So there is a tremendous amount of interest in that. So yeah, I think broadly across industries, I would say these are two big things that we're seeing. The third thing is that in the whole area of employee safety and employee welfare and employee productivity in this whole world of remote working. And companies have used a lot of work around COVID forecasting models to ensure that they know what's happening with their employees' health, how can they keep their employees safe, and also ensure that there's no disruption in their delivery to their customers.
Yeah. So Chirag has a question. He's asking, as AI will be powerful enough to drive human lives, how can we make sure its integrity? As current politicians have power to change rule, and so as developers will have power to change algorithm. What sort of steps to take to protect the integrity? So he's concerned about the integrity.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's certainly one of the big risks, one of the big issues that we face today.
Yes.
And I think there is tremendous room and need for public policy and citizen voice in this matter. I'll give you some simple examples. Amazon started automating its resume screening and selection process. And what they found was that the algorithms were discriminating against certain sections of people, women and potentially, minorities and such things. And they quickly discovered that the reason why that was happening was because the AI was merely mimicking what had been happening in the past. So in the past, when you and I were screening resumes, we had biases and we were screening those resumes in particular ways. And the AI had simply taken that as to be the right way to do it and was replicating the same thing. So that's kind of, unintended bias, right? That crept into the system because they was just replicating what our behavior. But there is, room for, of course, infusing intentional bias as well into it. I mean, a parallel example was that people have been suing some companies because their employment advertisements have been discriminatory. So in certain cases, people of above a certain age were not shown ads for the jobs in these companies, which means that these people didn't have access to the knowledge that this job is available in this company and I can apply, right? And that was sort of intentional. So yeah, I think overall that there is a lot of potential for misuse just with any new technology, but AI especially so, because it really can go to the core of the way decisions are made and way things get done, and yeah, so that there is need for a lot of public policy and intervention over here.
Okay, so I think we'll take another last question. A question by Saurav. So it's an interesting question. Do you feel there could be another dimensions to AI-led transformation beyond design, AI and engineering? For example, the people and organization dimension. Many times I see that transformation gets lost without the ability to align and mobilize across departments and functions.
Yeah. So this was a part of the story that we were not able to get to. But when you think of organizations, okay, really, if you want to deploy AI within the organization, right? Think of the why, what, and how of it, right? The why is let's just say, and for each organization it is different. There's just an example that I'm stating over here. The value value creation through better decisions as an example, right? The what could be the different areas in which you want to apply it, and you use those 5 dimensions to see what's relevant to your organization. But then the how becomes really important over here, and the how is the org structure, right, around this, but probably actually one step before that, what is the intention from the top? What is the support at the board level, at the CEO level? Is this critical to the company as seen by the leadership of the company? What about the org structure? Is the is AI and the org structure related to AI in a prominent place in the organization, or is it bedded under 6 different layers where it has no visibility or power and authority, right? The kind of people that we bring in, the hiring that we do over there, the kind of knowledge systems we create, processes, tools, and technology. So yeah, I think it's really important, and the whole org dynamics of this are really important for us to ensure that there is success.
Okay. Yeah, so there are a few more questions, but I think we are at 1 hour mark. So we would like to formally conclude this session, and then maybe if people are interested, you can take a few more questions. So Parag, I think you can conclude the session.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if people want to stay on, if some people want to stay on for a few more minutes, I'm happy to do that and answer some questions. I just need a minute over here, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for joining today's session. Plenty of interesting insights from Pranay with practical examples of what's happening on the ground. And thanks, Professor Samrat, for making sure that all the questions are being sort of tracked, responded to, and bringing your own sort of depth to the questions. We have a sort of hard stop now in terms of the formal part of the webinar, but Pranay has agreed to stay on for a bit longer. So if there are questions you have, we can take some more. So thanks for joining. So we'll formally close this, but the session can go on for another 15-20 minutes, and you can ask the questions that you want of Pranay. Thanks, Pranay. Back to you.
No, I'm here. So maybe actually, yeah. So since we brought up the question of the how it can how do we ensure that we are able to get what are the other dimensions of AI, right, apart from AI engineering and design, and this is sort of one model really to think about in terms of org design. And then the other idea is this of the roadmap, right, which is once I decide to sort of implement AI and drive transformation using AI in my organization, what could be some simple steps over here, right? Number one, establishing business priorities. I think that's really crucial. What are the priorities for my business? Where will we create value? Because we need to show value up front. And so establishing those priorities. Number two is identifying use cases, right? So if I say, okay, fine, my priority is revenue growth or improving customer engagement. Within that, what are the specific use cases that we would deploy? Prioritization, again, evaluation of the use cases and prioritizations. One aspect of AI and is really this notion of prototyping, learning, and iterating, right? So speed is crucial. And typically we say that, any assignment that we take up or any project that we take up, it doesn't matter how long the overall duration could be. It could be a year, it could be 2 years to deliver full value. However, you've got to start showing value very quickly. And by very quickly, I mean, say 8 to 12 weeks. Within 8 to 12 weeks, business partners need to start seeing, however small, but they need to start seeing changes to the way things are being done. And for them to start to visualize and touch and feel the change. And then, of course, you need to prepare to launch and operationalize at scale. So that's really all I had in terms of slides. I'll stop and see if there are more questions here.
Yeah, so there's a question by Saurav. How has Fractal managed remote working through COVID times? And any interesting applications of AI for fatalities and improving productivity?
Yeah, great question. And it's been one of the revelations of this, right, of this pandemic, how quickly not Fractal really, but the whole world has adopted to remote working. I was on a conference some days back, and there was a CEO of a large telecom company, and they said within 2 days, they transitioned about 90,000 workers to remote working or work from home without any drop in customer satisfaction. Actually, NPS or customer net promoter scores actually improved over time. So I think there's been some tremendous learning over here for all of us.
Definitely.
Yeah, that we can work in this remote fashion as needed. There are some things that can be done, some things cannot be done. We know that, but we have all adopted and learned very, very quickly. I think there have been some benefits to it, right? I think the fact that commute time has gone away, I think that's a big benefit. And remote working was always there, but one big element of change over here is now that because everyone is working from home, we are all equal. When there are 5 people in the office in a conference room and 2 are dialing in from home, the dynamics are very different, right? Because then the person that's not in that conference room or in the office somehow doesn't have the same weight in that conversation. But in this dynamic where everyone is dialed in, the dynamics are very, very different. In terms of how are we managing productivity and stuff like that, look, I think one of the big concerns, and rightfully so, is that what happens to culture, right? Because culture gets built in person, or at least that's been our belief. And we believe that, yes, I think this is not a situation that can continue for forever. And you have to keep reinforcing culture. I mean, hopefully, if you already had a strong culture, it will, play through. But then as new people come in, they learn by observing. And there are some things you can observe digitally, but there are some things that still need, in-person interaction. So I think that will come back around, and how you continue to enforce culture through this virtual medium, I think that's important. And also, I think being able to demonstrate care. We have been, across the board, I think, employee check-ins, one-on-ones, etc. I think that has increased. We also now run a weekly survey to check employee pulse. How are people feeling emotionally? And is there something that we need to do to help, people overall? And then we've established a, helpline to say that, okay, fine. Do you need help? Do you need someone to reach out to you and talk to you? Maybe you have a problem because, you're stuck at home. Maybe there is an emotional issue. Maybe there is a real issue that, I'm not able to take care of my child while being engaged on these phone calls because I don't have a nanny anymore, right? So I think being able to reach out to people and providing them those ability to reach out and seek help, I think that's been important.
Yeah. So I think there's one last question, not last, it's a second last question. It's a question by Yatnesh, and the background for this question is the acquisition of final mile by Fractal. So he's asking, all the data is giving rational side of consumer decisions, and there is no map of emotive. So how can AI deal with these kind of issues?
It's a great question, very good question. And the whole notion of design actually also stems from this, which is recognition to the fact that the rational side plays a role, but behavioral sciences and design shows us that over 90% of our decisions and decision making is emotional. And it could be, quote unquote, what we call irrational. It is not truly irrational, but, in our the construct that we have lived in, you would say it's irrational. I give you a couple of examples over here on how behavioral sciences is being used. One of them is in the area of public safety. One of the big things in Mumbai, as many of you would know, is that there is a large number of deaths that occur every day because people are crossing these railway tracks and they get hit by the train. When we were called in to look at this, we had the data, and the data showed that most of the people that were dying were young people between the ages of 18 and 35, and most of the accidents were taking place in daylight, right? So when you look at the data, you're saying, okay, these are able-bodied people who are sound of senses, and it's happening in daytime. So what exactly is happening? Why were these people doing that? Were they not able to see the train? Why were they choosing to go onto the tracks and get hit? And then further sort of digging into the topic unveiled something very interesting, which is that the human brain is not geared to estimate the speed of large fast-moving objects accurately. And that is because large fast-moving objects have come onto planet Earth only in the last 100 to 150 years. There were no trains or cars through our evolution, right? So now we've latched on to something very interesting over here, which is that the human brain actually cannot assess the speed of the train. So you think it's going to take 5 seconds, and you start crossing and it's already there. You get hit by the train, all right? Yeah. So now we know that this is the issue, right? And how do we communicate this to people? And you could use the traditional method to put up a board warning sign and say, the train is coming faster than you think, and do not cross the road, do not cross the train, etc. But we also know that those kinds of messages don't register. So you need to figure out, how to communicate to the subconscious mind, because the mind is making the decisions. It's taking in the inputs and making the decisions, but what is it making the decision on? So you learn that the human mind assesses speed relative to the environment, right? Um, so we came upon this idea of how do you communicate speed, and the idea was to paint the railway tracks with yellow lines, right? So you know that this is the point at which people cross, right? Let's say up to half a kilometer before that, you paint yellow lines on the track, leave some space, paint yellow lines again, leave some space, paint yellow lines, leave some space. As the train is approaching, you see those yellow lines disappearing, and they disappear faster. It communicates to the mind subconsciously the speed, and the people stop, crossing. Where this was applied, we were able to observe 70 to 80% reduction in accident rates, right? And that's sort of the power of communicating to the subconscious mind.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So the irrational side of us, if you will. Yeah.
Very interesting, Pranay. So last, I think, couple of questions. And this is a question by Shiba Prasad. He's saying we realize limitations of the AI and ML to understand the COVID-19. Otherwise, we could have saved more life in US and Europe. Tell me, do you feel we are at preliminary stage of AI and ML? In spite of best computers and algorithm in medical science, we could not understand COVID-19 properly.
Yeah. So I think why COVID has spread quite as much, right? I think it's a fairly complex topic. The medical science of it actually has been quite phenomenal, because the vaccines got designed in 2 days. Okay, from the time the DNA code was released, right? I believe China's released that, the DNA code or whatever, that code of the virus, and the vaccine got designed in 2 days. It was not possible to do this, I would say 20 years back or so. I think the whole idea that, there is so much AI and computational ability available to us, we are able to do that stuff, right? I mean, just recently, about a week or 2 weeks back, this really complex problem of protein folding has been solved by AI. And it's a huge breakthrough, because there are millions of ways in which proteins get created, and the whole protein folding problem, now that has been solved, can lead to very rapid development in medication and stuff like that. And the fact that we have a vaccine in less than 9 months, I think it's a tremendous progress in science. Now, I think we know scientifically that wearing masks helps, social distancing helps, but that's about the extent of the science of it, right? And we can know through AI where there is likely to be bigger spread, where there's likely to be more transmission and stuff like that. So really speaking, I think the failure is not of the science or the AI. The failure is in human communication and being able to influence people, right? And I think that's where we need to reflect and think, how could we have influenced people better to act differently?
Okay, so I think this is probably the last question by Saurav. Any areas where Fractal can or is thinking of partnering with IMA and other institutions to promote innovation? So that's
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. I think there is some small body of work that we're doing more from a standpoint of being able, in terms of content, right? I think some possibilities of teaching and courses and stuff like that, but really not much more beyond that. And I think there is opportunity here, and we should be able to track it. But I know that It's just that the bandwidth does become an issue. But I think there is actually, I think, a lot of opportunity for Fractal to engage with the IMs and do some research, work on live projects. IM gets a lot of grants and a lot of live industry projects, both from industry projects and government projects, and I think there is some opportunity here for us to explore together. But the honest answer is today it is what we're doing is well below potential.
Yeah. Okay, so I think these were all the questions that we had, and finally, thank you, Pranay. Thanks a lot. You gave very good examples, a lot of examples from different domains, and an enriching talk from you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure and wonderful questions. So I'm glad that there were as many questions as there are. It makes it easier for us, especially when you're virtual, you can't see the people, right? So, people are listening and engaged. So thank you very much for the questions.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you, Pranay.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Yeah.